There it is. First up on Friday will be 7th seed Marin Cilic against 24th seed Sam Querrey, who's in his first ever Grand Slam semi-final. Cilic is a former US Open champion and he will hope to make it through to the Wimbledon final for the first time. All eyes, however, in world tennis will be on this one. Roger Federer, seeking a record 19th Grand Slam title, takes on a familiar foe Thomas Berdych, the 11th seed. Federer leads the head-to-head 18-6 and is unbeaten in his last 7 matches against the Czech Republic player, stretching back to 2013. Right, and to discuss the happenings and all the goings-on at Wimbledon 2017, we're joined by former India #1 and CWG and Asiad gold medalist Somdev Devvarman. He joins us from Bengaluru today. Somdev, thank you for your time. Always a pleasure having you with us here on WION. Quite an intriguing round of quarterfinal matches that we saw last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you really look at it, I think all 4 quarterfinals were, there was something interesting going on. Obviously, let's just start with the Federer one. I think everybody was very happy with the performance, and even the Cilic and Muller, I think, Muller just ran out of steam at the end, takes a lot after beating Rafa, so a 5-set win for Cilic is understandable. But the 2 things that I think really upset a lot of fans were the 2 injuries. One was by obviously Andy Murray, and the other one where Djokovic couldn't even complete the match. So those are the things that kind of made Wimbledon a little interesting, made the ATP rankings for this year a little bit interesting, because I think there's a lot of things that are up in the air. We don't really know how Djokovic and Murray are. So disappointing day, but also very interesting for Wimbledon fans.
Yes, Somdev, and those two upsets, of course, like you pointed out, were the big stories from Wednesday at Wimbledon. We will speak about the ouster of Djokovic and Murray at length in just a bit. But a word on Sam Querrey. I know Andy Murray had trouble with his injury, with his hip problem, but Querrey produced some absolutely spectacular tennis in the final 2 sets.
Yeah, so Sam Querrey is one of those guys who's just a very, very dangerous opponent, especially on a grass court. So the guy's got a huge serve, he's got game. I think, he's got the experience of beating Djokovic last year, so he's got the belief that he can do it. And also, not to mention that Wimbledon is the slam where he's actually done his best. It's the 2 slams, it's the only time he's made the quarterfinal last year, and this year the semi-final. So obviously he's very comfortable on that center court. He's very comfortable beating world #1s on the center court. So you can never put anything past a guy with such a big serve and such a big forehand.
Absolutely right. Another guy who's got a pretty neat forehand and which is really rolling back the years at Wimbledon is Roger Federer. Somdev, he's now primed for an unprecedented 8th title at the All England Club. Let's first listen in quickly to what he had to say after his match.
Being the favorite or not the favorite doesn't matter. I mean, these other guys are all big hitters, so I feel like they will have their word to say of the outcome of the matches. They got big serves, big forehands, big shot, big hitters, really. I mean, all 3 guys are taller and stronger than I am, so I got to figure it out a different way and carve my way through the draw somehow with my slice and my spins and my consistency, maybe. So I'm looking forward to do that. I'm just very happy that I'm still doing so well, like I'm doing. Am I surprised? Maybe a little bit, but the plan was always to hopefully be strong, also later on in my career.
Somdev, you heard from Roger Federer what he had to say when he was asked about now having the mantle of favourite after a while at Wimbledon. Everything he says, everything he does exudes class. He's obviously not going to take his candidates, his prospective opponents in those last 2 stages lightly. But really, this is now all Federer's for the taking.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of the 2014 US Open when Djokovic had just lost to Nishikori in the semi-final, and everybody who was a Federer fan was so excited about Federer winning the US Open, and that's when Marin Cilic stepped up and beat him in straight sets. So this is a very similar situation where he's now the overwhelming favorite. I think, like you mentioned, he has an 18-6 record against Berdych. He has a 3-0 record against Querrey, and he has a 6-1 record against Cilic. So he's by far the overwhelming favorite. He's obviously won Wimbledon 7 times, and the other guys have never done it. So, I mean, if you're a Roger Federer fan right now, I would be really, really optimistic. And I think the way he's playing, things are looking really good for him.
Like you mentioned, Somdev, it's Thomas Berdych, an opponent who he's had the number of entirely, even beat him at the Australian Open in the 3rd round. which really was where that remarkable resurgence of Roger Federer this year began. What can be said to sort of give any sort of justice to the kind of year that Roger Federer is having at the age of 35 at that?
Well, to be completely honest, what Roger Federer is doing is nothing short of remarkable. I mean, this guy has come off a 6-month injury break from last year. He had a bad knee. He nursed it, he healed it, and he came back stronger than ever before. And more importantly, he's actually come back with new weapons to his game. So that's what has made Roger Federer, you know, even a class apart this year from what he's done in the previous years, because now he's a lot more aggressive with his backhand. He's always looking forward to coming forward, making some attacking moves, coming to the net, shortening points, because he doesn't want to really take a toll on his body at this age. So, you know, I think everything that the guy is doing is unbelievable. Like you said, you know, I think the match against Berdych, we shouldn't overlook that, because he has lost to Berdych a few times, and also I think fans should know that Berdych has beaten Roger at Wimbledon. So after beating Novak, who he's got a horrible record against, I think Berdych should be really pumped up about this opportunity for him as well. And I think Berdych will be pretty happy that he is a slight underdog, because that'll allow him to go out and play a little freely. But you know, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to Roger's racket. If he performs well, he's going to go through.